Hello! Today, instead of weaving a flat cloth like we did in the previous masterclass, based on this flat cloth, by using Burkina Faso technique combined with another weaving style, various options of such decorative compositions. Traditional flat panel pictures, as well as such flower-shaped and curved-shaped panels. Well, I've shown you just a small piece of examples. What I mean is, you can create multiple decorative panel shapes based on this weaving technique. So first of all, I'd like to show you how to shift from regular flat cloth to the cloth with slanted rows. I find a panel picture like this more decorative looking. From such a straight cloth with inclined rows, I'm going to pass on to a flower. It is woven based on the same principle. Let's start in a normal Burkina Faso way. You already know this technique quite well. Let me show you just a few steps to remind you. Continue weaving this way until the required number of rows. A few words regarding the number of poles to adjoin. In order to keep the sections equal, I've made such small patterns from cardboard. For this particular item, I've used this cardboard pattern. While weaving the first row, I follow the length of the pattern. For weaving a flower, I've used such small triangles. I've used it as a pattern both for a petal and an interpetal space. Now I'm going to weave a similar flower, so the petal length has to be equal to the length of the pattern. So continue this way until you reach the required length. So, I have woven the first row according to the pattern length. After this, I braid the last 3 tubes and try it to the pattern. One more. So let's count the number of coils in order to make identical petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I've made 9 braid coils. Now start weaving the opposite side. I put the previous pole on and lead the working tube to the left. I repeat all the same weaving steps but in reverse direction. Pull the tube tighter. Now, in order to avoid failures, I fasten the pattern to the weaving with the help of binder clips or clothes clips. This way. 1, 2. Now continue following the pattern. Well, it will probably be more convenient this way. I turn and continue weaving, moving along the pattern outline. Continue weaving, following the pattern located underneath. Place the pole on. Bend the tube. Place the following pole on. Pull it closer to the pattern. 1, 2. The next pole. Continue weaving this way until the end of the row. So the first petal has been completed. If I was going to weave a straight panel picture like this, I would weave a long braid here and continue weaving slantwise based on the pattern like I've already shown you. However, since I'm going to weave a flower, here I have to perform just a turn. I perform a turn in the same braiding technique, but making only 2 coils. After which I continue weaving widening. I mean, in the previous row I was narrowing the petal, now I'm going to weave it widening. I join and fasten the pattern again. 1, 2, and weave in the same very way as the previous row, following the pattern. One, 2, bend, put a pole from above, tighten, continue. Adjoin, tighten, bend. My tubes are fresh from a freezer. I've mentioned many times the way I prepare them. I'll share the link in the description of the website as usual. The recipes get modified, so I'll share the one I'm currently using. This way I reach the end of the row. Now take the pattern out, and again the same technique. Braid the same number of coils as you've made in the first petal. Let's call it a long braid. Here I've got a short 2-coiled braid, while here I've got a long 9-coiled braid. Continue this way until the curve brings the petals together. It's time to lengthen the tube. As I've already shown, I lengthen the tubes by mere adjoining. I'm going to cut the tails off later. So far the item looks untidy because I don't cut the tails until I finish weaving. Don't let it discourage you. Take a look at the trimmed item, please. It looks totally different. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Lengthen the tube. and turn. Adjoin the pattern again. Well, this lengthening was not too successful, but I'll cope with it. If you notice that the tubes are becoming too short while braiding, you'd better lengthen them beforehand, not at the very turn. Lengthen by mere adjoining. Let's count the coils. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's all. The protruding tails will be cut off later, and the item will look rather neat. As you can see, there are no protruding tails here, so don't let them discourage you. So adjoin the pattern again. Turn the weaving. Fasten the pattern reliably. In the current row, I'll have to lengthen the poles. So turn, fasten reliably, and continue working. It is when I'm going to lengthen the poles. So adjoin the tube, bend. Now it's time for lengthening. One. Adjoin the next pole. Lengthen it again. 2. Bend the tube. Adjoin the next pole. Lengthen it. Bend the tube. Lead the wicker tube down. Where's my next pole? Here it is. 1. Let's lengthen it now to avoid challenging lengthening when the tail is too short. Adjoin. Bend. The row with lengthening requires a more careful approach. Luckily, such rows are not frequent. This pole seems long enough. Let's not lengthen it so far. The interval between the rows becomes shorter, so the poles remain longer. Here I have to lengthen a working tube. I don't lengthen poles so far. The poles turn into working tubes, and it is where they require lengthening. Well, there's nothing too difficult about it. You'll grasp the idea as soon as you start. So 1, 2, make sure you don't step aside from the pattern. Let's lengthen this working tube. Continue this way until you reach the end of the row. In the end of the row, you'll have to make a short braid consisting of 2 coils. And continue repeating all the same steps. I'm not going to show you the whole process, as I'm sure the algorithm is quite clear. So I had to weave 9 petals to close the circle. The only thing left is to unite it. What do? I take a wooden stick, which I commonly use for root weaving, and tuck the tube tails in carefully. Here I've got a rather hollow tube end. The next one. I lead every tail into a loop, one after another. Here it goes. The remaining tails will get cut off afterwards. Well, here I do apply glue. In this particular section where I join two circle ends, because afterwards I'll place it under pressure, which will create some tension. So this way I secure it from sliding apart with the help of school glue. Once I've just coated the item with lacquer, which has proven sufficient to fasten the joint. I cut off protruding tails only after coating. Tuck in all the tails, then after I varnish the item, I'll get rid of the tails. As a result, I'll get a smooth and neat flower like this. What else I'd like to add regarding the flower? I prefer them more single-colored. Here I've decided to apply some creativity, and for some reason I've thought of such a daisy. Well, it's up to each of you to choose the colors you like. For myself, I've decided to create my future works unicolored, which makes them more noble looking. Well, actually it depends on your purpose and the type of a room you would like to decorate. If the article is meant for a kindergarten, for example, motif flowers like daisies and cornflowers can fit it perfectly. So the first stage of the work is almost completed. Tuck in the remaining tails like I've shown you. The only thing left is to weave the flower core. So the next stage is weaving the flower core using the technique of spider's web. The technique presupposes random stitches, sometimes lengthening the tube, sometimes just leading the tails between the stitches. So this way, making fine stitches, pulling them tight, try your best to fill the gaps. Normally I grasp one or two rows here. Well, in my case the flower is not too large, so I lead the tube between the first and the second rows of the petal. At first it goes smoothly, later on I'll apply a stick. Pull the stitches apart where necessary. Lead the tube through this loop. And here. in random order. As for the remaining tail, you can tuck it in between the stitches. Turn the item over, tuck the tail in. I'll cut it off later. Previously I used to lengthen the tube. However, it has proven rather inconvenient even with the help of universal polymeric adhesive. Anyway, you have to wait for a while until it fastens. Well, you can try it the way you prefer. Turn the item over and continue stitching. Here is a vacant gap. This gap will fit. Try your best to make fine stitches. This way they look nicer, somewhat resembling Astrakhan fur. I've noticed an empty gap here. So, the flower core has been completed. The only thing left is to cut off the protruding tails, and the flower is ready. So I've already cut off all the tails on the front and most of the tails on the back side. It is the way I cut the tails off. That's all. Let's check. There's one protruding tail left. Let me reach it. That's all. The flower is ready. Let's check once again. Here is one more tail. Check the item carefully, as tails get often covered by each other and become hard to see. Well, now that's it. I've got a flower like this.